れがレクイエム。
超かっこいいヒーローさ。
確かに放送は1年ぶりですけど、この1年で一体何があったんですか、あんた。
そりゃこんだけあれば髪くらい伸びるだろ。
つうか髪以前にほとんど別キャラになってんじゃないですか。何年かぶりに天下一舞踏会で再会したやつみたいになってんじゃないですか。
なんか知った顔が映ってっけど見たくもねえ。
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Show back with another video. Now today we're gonna do a quick one. I'm gonna do a top 5, and in the future I'll do more top 5s and I'll start doing top 10s. Right now I'm gonna start doing top 5s, and today's top 5 is top 5 funniest anime main characters. So that's gonna exclude some of the characters that are side characters that may be funnier than the main character, but today we're just focusing on just the main character. It's gonna be a short list, and I'm probably gonna end up redoing the list probably later on in the future. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Thanks for watching. On to number 5. For number 5, we have Seiya from Cautious Hero. Also known as the hero is overpowered but overly cautious. Now, Seiya is not necessarily funny himself, and from now on I'll be calling him Cautious Hero. He's not only really funny himself, it's really just in particular the things that he does that causes me to really laugh. He himself is not a comedic character like some of the other people on this list, but his actual personality is where we get all the funny from. Cautious Hero is basically one of my favorite isekai to date, just simply because it takes a premise that has been used 1,000 times but makes it hilarious. Now, the premise of this is basically, as the name suggests, we have the hero Seiya who's summoned to this world to defeat the Demon King by this goddess. Seiya has a very interesting character trait. Basically, he can be very overpowered to a situation, but he will always want to train more. And it seems like it's not really a funny thing unless you see it in practice. But he'll basically go kill a slime. The slime, he's like level 80 and the slime is level 1. And he'll have to do like 30 push-ups. He'll have to go through a strong training regimen just to make sure he doesn't end up dying. Not to spoil anything, but you do end up finding out why he's actually so overly cautious, and I'm not going to spoil it here, but definitely go watch it if you have not watched it. It is one of the funniest anime to date. Next up is Sakamoto from Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto. He's another character I feel like is like Seiyu, where his funny isn't really coming directly from him, it's through his actions. As a direct result of his actions is the reason why I laughed, which is why I put him in number 4. Honestly, I would put him and Seiyu kind of interchangeable, to be honest with you. Now, this anime is actually really funny to me. When I first saw this, I honestly did not think I would like it, just because it just didn't seem like my type of thing. But it's just something interesting about seeing like a guy who's literally perfect. Anything he does is perfect. It's amazing. It's kind of funny to watch like people try to derail him or stop whatever he's doing or whatever, and it's just like life is just against them because he's just so perfect. It's really hard to actually explain this anime because, like I said, the synopsis of it is really just that he's perfect and everything he does. He's smart, he's charming, he's basically like the perfect main character, but every time somebody tries to stop him or do something to him, it's like fate itself stops them from even doing anything. Like I said, it's not really easy to explain. Basically, I think Sakamoto is really good in the 4th spot because he isn't as like funny as some of the other characters, like personally funny, but the things that happen around him, the things that people try to do to him is inherently funny, and him actually dodging out of the way of most of them is ridiculous. So that being said, let's move on to number 3. Alright, for number 3, this is an easy choice for me. I wanted to put him higher, and I wanted to put number 2 in his spot, just simply because as far as nostalgia goes, this is actually one of my favorite comedy anime of all time. Number 3 is Akihisa Yoshi from Vodka Test. This is actually one of my definitely favorite. It's actually pronounced Vodka Test. Japanese full name is Vodka Test Something to Be. I absolutely love this anime. It's such a unique premise. Basically, they have avatars where they're in school, and in school they battle using like math and other subjects, and you know, you can actually be a genius and have like a very strong avatar because your genius avatar is based off of like your IQ, which is something really interesting I like with the show. Now the main character in this is a guy who basically he is a very bad student. Apparently in this school, basically if you're a very bad student, if you're not smart at all, you basically, I believe it's called a probationary student in this one. You basically become a probationary student, and your avatar can actually interfere with the real world situations. So, if you're a smart person, your avatar can only affect inside of the little digital world. But if you're a probationary student, your avatar can actually do real world applications, real world stuff. And this anime is just really funny. It's definitely one of the underrated comedy anime out there. I honestly just feel like this is peak comedy. This is actually when I realized that all the shonen that I was watching wasn't necessarily, you know, just straight shonen. They were just comedy. Like, comedy anime in itself, for me, really started with Vodka Test. Like, I rewatch it every year. I thoroughly enjoy it. As far as straight comedy goes, it is my favorite comedy.
まさか水木ももしかしてみなみちゃんも
うちが持ってないやつある。A クラスに模擬市長戦争を申し込みます。はあなた絶対に許さないからね。は
ゆうかどうしてここに。
その趣味隠してたの。
違うんだよ、このクソビッチが。一番腹立つところはお前が自分のことを授かった恩恵だと言い張ってることだよ。お前ふざけんなよ。何が恩恵だ。お前を返品して特殊能力でももらえるものならとっとと返品してやるところだ。
You knew we had to get here, so let's just go ahead and come out and say Kazuma from Konosuba is a very funny character. Now he's one of the people I feel like, yes, his supporting cast is very funny. But he himself is very funny. So just a quick little off the dome synopsis for Konosuba if you don't remember it, or you don't plan on watching it, or if you've watched it but don't really care for it. Basically, the main character Kazuma sees a girl about to get hit with a truck, and he tries to dive in to save her. And honestly, he's been playing so many video games and watching so much anime and stuff that he basically dies and doesn't realize that the truck isn't going to hit the girl at all. So he basically wasted his life. So it's kind of like a funnier, darker spin on shows like Yu Yu Hakusho. Kazuma dies and is sent to a realm, pretty much a realm you see in a lot of isekai anime, basically where they ask him what does he want to carry over in the next life. Now instead of actually saying how he wants to carry his cell phone and he wants to bring his cell phone over to the next life, he actually does something smart. Actually, it's not smart at all. Instead of getting some very powerful power up, he actually decides to get revenge on the goddess who is asking him the question because she's very smug and trying to be funny about it. So he says basically, I can take anything, and he decides to take her, which results in some very funny anime episodes afterwards. Just to say, I really won't spoil much from Konosuba. It's a really great show if you want to watch it. The reason why I said this and the number 2 and number 3 spot were kind of interchangeable is because Vodka Test to me is my favorite overall, but I can realize that Konosuba is more generally accepted because it is a very hilarious anime and Kazuma is a very hilarious main character. He's also a more interesting main character than the character from Vodka Test. That's why he's at number 2. That single moment of him bringing the goddess with him is such a 400 IQ move that I had to put him in number 2. With that being said, Kazuma is a fantastic main character. He's very funny and deserves to be in the number 2 spot. Alright, I'm back. Now before I announce the number 1 winner of this top 5 funniest main male characters in anime, I would like to state that it may be a little biased. There may be characters you feel like aren't on this list or should be on this list, or that are on this list and they should be higher than their current spot, but this for me is where I'm always end up talking about the funniest main characters. The next anime I'm about to actually show is my favorite anime of all time. It is a comedy, it's an action, it's a drama. It pretty much wears every single hat in the game. So I do want to take the time to say, if you felt like somebody should have been on the list, or if I do make a part 2 and you guys want me to include some characters, drop me some characters down below. You know, because there might be characters I'm forgetting about. I know the character from Kill la Kill. She's very funny. A lot of funny characters that I did actually miss and didn't get to include in this video. But with that being said, like I said, I made a short video just talking about this. This is kind of my first time doing the format. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump to number 1.
Here we go! Let's party!
So, you know, we all had to get here eventually. Gintoki from Gintama. Gintama is my favorite anime of all time. It's so sad because none of my friends have watched it. It's actually a really popular anime. You know, you may find that 1 or 2 people in your friend group that have watched it, but for me, a lot of people I know just personally haven't watched it, and it's because it kind of has a steep curve to get into it. Like, if you were following the 3 anime episode rule, you would definitely not get into this because the first couple of episodes of Gintama is filler. And I'm going to talk about Gintoki in a second, but I just want to talk about this show in general. This is the funniest show I have ever seen. I mean, ever. I have laughed more times than any comedy I've ever seen. And the thing is, with a show like this show is basically rooted in Japanese culture. And it has a lot of like inside jokes that, honestly, if you haven't seen a lot of anime, or if you haven't been into like anime for a couple years, you don't know anything about Japanese or, you know, or Japan, you really won't get a lot of these jokes. That's why a lot of these jokes that they do in the show can go over people's head. There are blatantly funny moments in the actual show. Like, there are just moments that just make you laugh. But a lot of the humor comes from like inside jokes from an anime watcher's perspective. Like, they like to parody. They like to imitate a lot of different anime. It shows in this actual show, and it's very funny. It's very cool. Like I said, this anime is my favorite of all time. Gintoki is my favorite main character of all time. I've watched this anime every year. I watch it every season. I just cannot stop watching it. It's so funny. Gintoki himself is such an interesting character because everybody in this show is literally funny. There could be different points in time in this show where Gintoki may not show up and the show is still hilarious. Now, this actually speaks to the brilliance of Gintama. The show itself, the main character isn't like the one that's always gonna bring the laughs. It could be any character on the roster, and they have so many different characters that are fleshed out that you don't know who could be the lead at any time. Me personally, I love Gintoki because of his backstory. I love everything about him. His, you know, ideology, everything. He's just such an amazing character, and I feel like as far as funny male main character go, he is basically the gold standard. Cautious Hero is really amazing. It's a really good show, but I just honestly think as far as pure comedy, Sakamoto and Seiyu just doesn't have what Gintama has. Like, he doesn't have what Gintoki has. He's such an hilarious main character. If we were to go to number 3, Yoshi is a very funny character. A lot of stuff that is funny is something that necessarily happens to him, and he's actually a funny character himself, but not to the extent of Gintoki himself. Gintoki is such a fantastic, well thought out, diverse character. Kazuma is absolutely hilarious as a character. He has definitely strong defining traits, and some of the moments that he's done in the show is some of the funniest ever I've ever seen. But honestly, he just doesn't hold a candle to the brilliance that is Gintoki. I do accredit that because Gintama is the longest running anime on this list. It has about 500 episodes, probably even more. But I gotta say, even though it has 1,000 episodes, and I'm exaggerating obviously, even though it has so many episodes, I have never gotten bored. In the beginning, it does become a little slow, and it does actually pick up. As more as you go into the story, this is one thing I can say about Gintama. Gintama definitely gets better as it goes. Every time I watch it, it just gets better as it goes on. It evolves. Gintoki is in the spearhead of this anime, and I feel like any character from this anime could have been put on this top 5. The reason why I chose main characters is specifically because I didn't want to choose so many characters from Gintama. Like, so it had to be the male lead because Gintoki, to me, is definitely one of the funniest out of his show and one of the funniest anime characters of all time. His facial expressions, you're dying. If you've ever seen Gintama and you're a veteran anime watcher, I would definitely should go see. If you're a veteran anime watcher, then chances are you had to sit through a couple of boring episodes. So first couple episodes being filler probably won't bother you too much. But if you haven't seen this and you know whatever, and you're at home, you got free time, definitely watch it. Probably some of the best anime I've ever seen in my entire. With that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know what characters you want me to do. Let me know what list you want, because I have so many different ideas for lists. The next one will probably be a little bit longer. I just want to see how this one was gonna test out, see what was gonna happen with this one. With that being said, drop me some suggestions down. Let me know who should have been on the list. Let me know if you don't believe Gintoki should have won. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Let me know what positions you think characters should have been on this list, and if there was characters that are missing, what they take. Let me know all that in the comments below, and I'll see.
King of Crimson!